Stop feeling fucking sorry for Marilyn Monroe. She was fine. And not just fine, she was successful, she was rich, she was talented, she was iconic. She's now immortalized for literally as long as humanity will exist, most likely. I don't think at this point it'll ever be possible for her to be forgotten. By the average standards of life, she basically amounts to a fucking goddess. And you feel sorry for her. Who the fuck are you to feel sorry for her? All of you idiots who think she was a victim and she had a horrible life. All of you who are used to think of her as the eternal victim. Oh, she was an orphan and bounced from foster family to foster family. Oh, she was in Hollywood and exploited. Oh, she was looking for love and she only married dipshits who mistreated her. Oh, she couldn't have a baby, or she was used by the president and killed by the mafia, blah blah blah. Shut the fuck up. You shouldn't be feeling sorry for her. Even worse, you should be feeling sorry for yourself. And we all should. Because compared to her, we're stupid, talentless, useless pieces of shit who float through our lives without having done anything significant with them. We, all of us, you and I, regular people, compared to Marilyn Monroe, we're like the fly on her shit. And we dare feel sorry for her? I think that's like a cosmic level of arrogance. And yeah, I mean, she had her problems, but then again, we all do. Just because she was famous doesn't mean her problems deserve more compassion than ours. Every single one of us has their pain and their suffering, and of course we need to consider her death at a young age. People die young all the time, and she was close to 40. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve sympathy, of course she does. But that's in everyone's case. The negative elements in her life are on par with everyone else's, and because of this, we must not judge her life and her legacy based on the negative stuff. This is why people fall into the mistake of defining her as the ultimate victim. She wasn't, or even worse, we're all victims of our own lives, which is why the level of suffering and the amount of suffering we go through should not be the merit. The merit should be the positive stuff, in my opinion. Our good qualities and our successes in life. Once we ditch the suffering and use only this as a comparison, oh, it turns out the rest of us are fucking losers, and Marilyn Monroe is like the number one person of the 20th century. Now that I think about it, by the way, maybe people who think of her as a victim this is kind of their comfort zone, and they like it better that way because that way they don't feel like fucking losers. Oh, poor Marilyn was used and abused by the system. Look at me, I'm fine. And of course, I'm not applying this to everyone. There's certainly people who think of her like this, as a victim, or people who are genuinely sorry for her, or people like me who think she was a successful, rich bitch. And I don't mean that in a negative way, because although she was rich, she was never the asshole aristocrat that dipshits tend to be nowadays. Fucking racist, homophobic, woke accusing, and tax evading privileged pieces of garbage. No, she was an actually good human being, at least as far as I've read and heard of her in the few interviews she recorded. She absolutely sounds and behaves like an innately good person, and actually, intellectually and morally speaking, she was like decades ahead of what people are nowadays. She basically stood up for women, children, black people, gay people, minorities in general, and not only did she do it, but she shoved it in the face of the establishment as a fuck you. Arthur Miller, the author, was literally accused of being a communist because of, the Red Scare and stuff. And he was also a Jew, given how bad it was with anti-Semitism back then. And Marilyn Monroe, the most famous fucking actress of the day, married him. And not only did she marry him, she converted to Judaism. That's basically a giant fuck you, not only to the government, but also to a large chunk of society who are biased trash. How many people do you know who are actually this fucking awesome and brave today? This is like a famous person in Russia during Putin's regime marrying openly a gay guy or a girl. This is like standing by women who refuse to wear fucking burqas in Iran or something. Do you realize, next to these fucking giants, these great, amazing people, how pathetic we are? We should not feel sorry for Marilyn Monroe. We should only be feeling sorry for ourselves if we don't act like she did. And we should only be feeling grateful she was around in the first place. I'm not sure if this Marilyn victim trend is modern or whatever, because I only became familiar with her in detail like in the last couple of years or so. But no matter if it's recent or if it was around ever since her death, it should stop. Marilyn Monroe should not be pitied, she should be celebrated instead.